All right, so I will see if it's live. Just give me a second here.
No problem.
Always a delay. So saying we were live for 8 seconds. I still do not have that. Interestingly enough, it's just spinning right now.
Technology is great.
There we go. All right, so we got a picture. So we are currently live on YouTube. So good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another live session. I just recently did one last weekend. Myself and this gentleman in front of you here, Travis from Icarus Precision. We spoke. He wanted to do a live stream based on some of the things that are going to be coming out. As you guys know, there's been a lot of stuff on this little guy right here, especially on social media, and this thing is going to be coming out soon. And it's a we'll talk more about that in a second. So obviously, if you guys don't know, this is the man behind the idea of Icarus Precision, and he has done a great job marketing this product with all of his people that he works with. And he promised me he had some goodies to show people tonight. Hopefully, as this broadcast goes live, more people will start to step in and watch it. If not, obviously, I invite all of you to come back and watch it when it's done. But why don't we just start with the basics? So, Travis, we don't have to have you tell us anymore. I know people have watched these chats before and they know who you are and they know what the company is about. So I might as well just start with a question because I actually thought of a few tonight, which is a surprise. And the first question I have for you is because, this is more of like a personal, I guess you could say, thought, I guess. And what it boils down to is me personally, I've been very uninspired with guns lately, just because there really hasn't been this real jaw-dropping, amazing firearm that's put out. You look at a lot of videos, people are doing the PDPs from Walther, which I find to be underwhelming. I do like the Canic rivals, but again, is it anything over the top special? Maybe not. But one of the things that I started thinking about is this right now, in your opinion, as a businessman, do you think you are reaping the benefits of there being such a lack in the gun world with new items, where now your lower modules for the entire line, 365 or 320, they are just really sinking their claws into such a segment of the market? Do you think that has something to do with your success as a whole?
I think honestly, it's more of the fact that pretty much just because the level of modularity that is becoming available in handguns, and it's just really taken off in the last 3-4 years. I think it's really kind of became a standardized thing, and now you have obviously SIG, you have Taurus doing some, the Beretta APX does some, Steyr does some. There's a few other too. There's a few other ones that have been doing it for a while, but they're not as well known. And now that the modularity platform in a pistol has been embraced, obviously, by the Department of Defense, a lot of law enforcement, and just the whole shooting community, it's opened up a crazy amount of new possibilities to where you don't have to go through all the serialization of the biggest part of the weapon that obviously is the most visual and the most tactile. So yeah, we just happen to get into I won't say totally revolutionary market, but a market that really hadn't had anything done with it because it didn't exist. There was no need to have grip modules made for a technology that didn't exist. And then when SIG launched their FCU program in the 365 and the 320, that just blew the doors open for making this kind of accessory that before there was no need for. So why would you make it?
Right.
And yeah, we've been super fortunate now. I've met now and got involved with companies that I'd heard of, but never in a million years. So I think they'd be reaching out to us like, hey, let's work together. Let's look at this. Let's collaborate. And it's been crazy. And the amount of, like you say, there's so many different options now you have. So yeah, you can make it as mild or as wild as you want. Whereas before with a pistol, you got a Glock or any Beretta or Smith & Wesson or what, and you could change the slide in the barrel, but that was about it, and some accessories. But as far as really changing the whole skeleton of the gun, it was not really an option because that was a serialized gun. So yeah, it's been hugely beneficial. So, I mean, just one of those things, just getting involved with a niche of the business that didn't really exist, and we happened to be one of the first ones to get involved with it, which was just awesome timing. I'd like to say it's because of my genius business skills, but it purely was just accidental timing with the right guy going, "Hey, we could make this out of aluminum. That'd be cool." Like, yeah, we probably could.
Well, I think it's a combination of timing and the ingenuity behind the product. I mean, you can't not give yourself some credit on that end, because, like you said, there was nothing on the market at that point, and there are other modular frames via Steyr and the APX, and they never once capitalized on that where SIG did. So, I think it's a combination of everything. So obviously with the lowers, we already know that you guys make great lowers. You have the Evo coming out soon. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But I do want to talk a little bit about these slides that you guys are starting to do. These things are amazing. Like, I haven't even done a review on it. This is actually going to come out next week where I do my little tabletop dealio and show people all the goodies on it. But you'll notice on this little guy, I got a front sight, no back sight, no optic on there. Hey guys, it's the life of a YouTuber. But one of the things that I'm going to do, I'm actually going to shoot it like this tomorrow, which brings me to the next point. Like, I did not want to shoot this gun until I spoke with you and at least had you do a lot of the explaining, because it's easy for me to shoot it. It's easy for me to go to the range and have a great time with it, regardless of, how many rounds I put down, whatever. But I think it's more important for someone to have an open mind as to why this whole system works so well. The slide included, obviously, with the Evo grip. But, I know that there were some people who were kind of, I don't want to say whining, maybe a little bit, but they were saying, well, why do I need a new lower? Why do I have to have this new aluminum lower if I already have one of the originals? The only thing I can tell you is, just by me kind of playing around with it for a couple of weeks now, there are some differences. There are some features on this Evo, and I'm just going to hold it up again. But this Evo right here is, in my opinion, quite the step up from the originals because of some of the added features. So why don't you tell the people out there, like, what about this makes this worthy of their money? Because in my opinion, this is better than the others. Very, very reminiscent of this big guy right here, which is amazing. I mean, this is the SOCOM's great feeling in the hand. But honestly, I think that 365 Evo just kind of ups the game even more. And it has something to do with that hump. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, it's the Evo is kind of a weird, came to existence in a weird kind of way. Like, I think when you and I were chatting, it's probably been a year or so ago back,
it's been a while.
About the Elite series coming out that had the thumb rest and had different texturing and had some different geometry. I think I remember telling you, I don't know if it was on or off camera, but I'm like, man, I'm getting to the point I'm not sure where to go next with some other designs, because I'm kind of running out of ideas. I've kind of thrown a lot of stuff in here and it has a lot of features, but now what do you do to make it better and better? And we happened to be at an event back at SCG in Virginia, which is one of our stocking dealers, really, really nice indoor premium gun range in Virginia. We have an event there coming up in September again. If you're going to be around there, go down to that. And we were sitting there with their range manager, Roy, and he goes, man, I love the Elite system. I love this. I love this. I love this. But he goes, man, if you could really just take like the features from some of your SOCOMs and your Pro Comp 320s and put it in a 365 and make it flush fit with the PMM XL comp. And at first I was like, that sounds kind of silly. I mean, it takes, again, the idea of a micro carry makes it not micro carry at all. It's now a damn near full size gun. It's not as big as a Glock 17, but it's damn close. And I was like, nah, I don't think so. But then my people kept on just telling me, we should do. We want to do something else. You keep on wanting to try something new. You wanted a new idea. This is a cool idea. I think it'll work. Fine. So I need something to do. I had some time. I started modeling with it in SolidWorks and adding some features and doing and making it big enough to be flush with the PMM XL comp, because that was that's been one we've gotten requests for quite a while, actually. So we're working with PMM on stuff. A lot of our standard stuff is flush fit with a standard slide and a standard PMM comp, and it works great. But the XL one we didn't have an offering for yet. And I was like, hey, this is a good opportunity to make a kind of wacky, big micro gun flush fit with an XL comp. That'd be cool. Initially started out as only going to be an exclusive for an XL PMM comp. I wasn't going to make it flush it with a standard XL slide because I was like, that's too many models. We want to have this just a comp. But I got enough pushback right away after we had the comp one kind of testing. Like, dude, you got to do this in an XL too. You have to do an XL. It's going to be bigger because there's a lot more XLs than there is XL comps out there. And so we ended up making them both. But we made it. It was one of those weird things again that I was a little bit down on the idea until I did it, cut one up. I was like, this thing feels really good in my hand. But again, it's like, how are you going to justify to somebody it's $300-$400 better than this other one because they're both good. Went over to the range and we took the first longer PMM version over to the range. I had an XL slide and I had a XL slide with a comp on it just to test it out a little bit. And I just put the regular XL slide on, so there was a bunch of dust cover sticking out the front. Had a major underbite. It looked stupid, but it still works just fine. Shot a couple of rounds through it, and my one of my marketing guys right behind me, and I shot a few rounds to this thing. And I was like, dude, this thing feels amazing. I don't even know why, but it feels great. Put the comp slide on there. I was like, this thing's badass. It just feels so good. And we made some geometry tweaks on the actual grip geometry to where the swell doesn't go all the way around to the front now. It stops a little short, so it's slightly thinner around the front. Still got a swell around the back of the side panels. And then the memory bump in the back was, honestly, it was a suggestion that I had several customers over the years say, hey, we're having these things, having our OEM polymers 3D additive printed on the OEMs with plastic, then they staple it. It works really great. It feels great. It looks weird, I know, but it feels great. And I was, again, resistant to it. I was like, it seems silly to me. I don't know if it'll work. It just looks kind of weird to be hard to sell. But I'm already making what is a cartoon big micro carry anyway, so why not give it a shot? Put the kind of memory hump back on the back, and that really changes the gun. It changes the complete feel of the gun, because when you grab any grip frame gun, whatever grip module, and you squeeze on it, you have kind of a negative void in the back pit of your hand there because you just can't fill it up. It's concave when you grip around there, and that memory hump just fills that negative void in the pit of your hand, and it's a problem you didn't think even existed until you feel it, and you're like, holy shit, I just feel I got so much more contact. I'm getting so much more of the recoil is coming back, not just into here or down here. It's coming back into the whole back of my hand, which then keeps the whole thing from wanting to rotate or move in your hand. The more contact you have on the grip or the gun, the more control you have, and the more recoil is not going to move it around in your hand. Just funny side story. My wife shoots a lot too. She has a lot of training classes around the country with people just for fun. It's just her side hobby she loves now.
Nice.
She always hated she hated 365. She hated my 365 with my frame. She hated 365s in general. She just didn't like them. She shot X Compact, SOCOM carry grips, loved 320s, no problem. Her and I went and did destructive testing one night on one of the Evo modules. We put like 5,000 rounds through it in like 3 or 4 hours. It was not fun. It sounds fun. It's terrible. Not fun at all. It's just absolutely miserable. Luckily, a bunch of the RSOs at the range were there helping us load mags, and we were just slamming the mags. Everything was hot. Everything was smoking. It was so hot. It was insane. But after we got done, she's like, this is great. I like this better than my 320 because it just feels better in my hand. I mean, everything about it just is so much. It shoots flatter. It tracks better. It's quicker on target, and it's just easier to control. And just the contour, the grip geometry. Now she loves it. She did some training classes back. She went to the SIG Academy to do EDC training and some other training with some folks back there. And I'm packing her stuff for it. I'm packing all the 320. She's like, I don't want to take you. I want to take the Evos with me. I was like, you kidding me? Because you don't like. She's like, I know. I freaking love the 365 now. It's great. Change. Like, okay, great. I mean, so if it changed her mind, I figure that's a good sign because she really did not like the 365 before the Evo module. So again, it's one of these kind of happy accidents. I just took somebody's suggestion that I thought was silly. Took another customer suggestion I thought was kind of silly. Well, I'm already making kind of a crazy big grip anyway with putting an XL PMM comp on it. Why not throw it all in there and just see what we come up with? and it worked out, dude. It's great. It is. It just feels so good and it shoots so good. It's hard. It makes it shoot like most of the video reviewers that we've had even given to are like, dude, it shoots like a full size. I mean, that's what I felt like too. I'm like, this thing shoots better than most of my full size. I told a lot of the academy instructors back at SIG that I sent some for testing. I'm like, you tell me if I'm crazy or not, but I would put this against a lot of the carry size 320s. The X5 with the tungsten and everything like that, gonna outshoot it. It just does. Just a different class of gun. That's a heavy competition gun. But against a normal like carry size 320, it's freaking damn spot on. It is just it shoots so good. It's crazy.
So
the flip beaver tail on it is one thing too that we started doing on the SOCOMs and the pro comps, and that was actually from guys using them in the field and duty. From holster retention holsters, you don't want to stab your web, your thumb on it. It's easier to get at, acquire your grip on it. And I wasn't going to put that on this Evo at all, but my guys were like, dude, you're already making this crazy thing. You got to put a flip beaver tail on. You have to do it. And the first flip beaver tail it looked like I stuck it on there. It didn't look like it was part of the gun. So I had to go back and redesign it again. It turned out really good though. I've never had a slide bite from a 365, but apparently it's a thing for some people, but it's pretty much impossible with this flip beaver tail on there. I don't know how you could possibly get your web of your thumb up there that high. But it came together really, really well. I mean, it took a lot of renditions. This is one of those products that I've actually had done now in testing for probably 6 months, which for me is like torture because I usually make something really cool. I want to go shoot a bunch of rounds through it, get some professionals and destructive tests. I'm like, sweet, launch this thing. Let's sell it right now. Come on, let's go live with it. And my guys are like, no, we can't do that. We can't do that. We gotta hold off. We gotta do this right. So we've done a lot of testing. We've done more testing on this module with more people across the country than almost any module we've ever launched before. It's just to try and get feedback again, because it looks kind of cartoon silly in a lot of ways.
So I'm going to cut you off for a second because I've been listening to everything you're saying and you are bashing this thing. And I'm going to tell you right now, stop it. Because first off, this does not look like a cartoon gun at all. All right. And that beaver tail, that thing is not that bad. So like when you go to grip that gun, it's barely noticeable. There's nothing. It's like a little tiny lip there. So I don't think it's overdone at all. That's my opinion. Now, you've been saying some things like, oh, it's a big gun. This is not a big gun. It's not. And to be honest with you, I haven't carried it in public yet because obviously I don't have, anything on it except for a front sight. Yeah. But I've been carrying around the house and I'm going to tell you, man, it is not even close to being anything like a full-size gun. It's just not. It's
the mag flare is what makes it. This is, again, in my opinion. Yeah. I'm by no means a professional level shooter or anything like that, but the mag flare I thought was going to make it like not a carryable option, because I didn't ever intend it to be a carry gun. I consider it to be like an actual guy that wants to go to the range, competitively shoot, because I have a couple of guys at USPSA open class shoot some of our stuff. But the funny thing was, I sent it back to a bunch of the academies, SIG Academy instructors, and all of them are carrying it as their EDC, and I'm like, you kidding me? I mean, really? They're like, oh no, it's great, no problem. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm wrong.
It does not feel big at all in regards to carrying it. Again, it's kind of a bigger footprint than, let's say, the original 365. We all know that. There's no doubt about that. But the way it's been done and just the contours of everything on here, it does not carry big. It feels like a full-size gun when you put it in your hand with that hump, but it does not carry anywhere near like a full-size gun.
Yeah, and I guess I should put that in context a little bit. I guess when I say it looks really weird, and I'm not trying to it looks cool, but compared to the majority of guns, grip modules, just pistols in general, it's very different. It's very unique. Some people think it's badass. Some people are like, that is the dumbest looking thing I've ever seen. But I challenge it. Shoot it. It shoots. It feels so good. I mean, it functions. It works amazing, and it grew on me. The look of it and everything grew on me, which in a way is kind of nice, because now I've got some other ideas for some other future projects that are even more outlandish, but could be amazing. I just don't know.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it could be. Yeah, but I would say that you guys are doing a great job with this because again, just the small changes that you've made and you kind of look at the frame. And like I said, when I do the video, I'm going to make sure that I show the edges on the grip here because there are like little tweaks here and there that you do notice when you look at it carefully. Now, if you don't look at it carefully, you're like, oh, it's not really major changes, but I think every small change that you've made on it has made a significant difference in regards to how locked in you feel.
yeah,
One of the things I brought up to you initially was, boy, it makes you feel like this is one of this is one of the Gen 2s, I believe. But
yeah,
you sit with this gun and you're like, all right, this feels pretty good. And when you grab the Evo, you're like, all right, so I feel like I'm sitting lower in the gun and further to the front of the gun. But then when you compare them side to side, you realize, well, that's not true. It's just like you said, you put in that hump, it fills in that void. So there's that lack of space there. And I mean, just the contact, like you said, you have on the gun. I mean, this sucker locks right in. And I would say the way it feels, and maybe some of the people who are watching this probably could chime in, but it feels very similar. Like if you were to close your eyes and instead of just going, oh, but if you close your eyes and you feel this gun in your hand, it reminds me a lot of, let's say, an APX type of feeling handgun. Maybe not necessarily the Steyr level, but definitely feels like you're getting really far and in underneath the slide. Even though when you compare them, it doesn't seem that way. And it's amazing that just a small hump in the back of a grip can make such a huge difference. And that's why I said, this is not a big gun whatsoever. And it doesn't feel like a big gun. It may look like a much bigger gun than the originals, but it does not even come close to carrying like it. I mean, it feels very small, very, very easy to carry, very easy to hold. And I'm super impressed with this, man, even up to the beaver tail. The beaver tail, if you just hold it like this, everybody's like, what the hell is that? But then when you put it in your hand and you see that there's absolutely no beaver tail barely showing, it's functional and it's extremely functional. So I think that's where you guys get an A+ for all this stuff.
well, thank you. No, it turned out really good. Once that we all got all the kind of little weird quirky things worked out in the first couple of generations of these, they turned out really well. We make some tweaks just along the way, like everything, but I'm really happy how it all ended up shaking out. The PMM one has some specific features to it that are different than the XL version of it. They both are just coming right across the board standard with an ambi thumb rest on both sides. So we don't have to do the right hand versus left hand versus and holsters, questions like holsters, which holsters fit, which holsters don't. Any holster that was made for our Ambi Pro Elite will work with these just fine. We're getting some A&R has been making holsters for us for a while now for these things, and they make holster fits everything. One holster fits all of them, including the XL Evos. The PMM Evo will fit it as well, but the dust cover and the comp will stick through the other side of it because it's longer. We're getting a limited run of really badass, like custom holsters made by Havoc Holsters for launch, specifically for the PMM version of the Evo, and then some sidecar rigs for the XL Evo. And they're freaking way cool. I got pictures of them back from him. He just finished up production. They look really badass.
Nice.
But yeah, the crap here. Easiest thing, I guess, to show you, and there's on the XL, the PMM version. The PMM version has some tungsten weights in the back strap.
Man, I was just going to ask you about that.
The XL does not, because I didn't really see a need to do it yet. And I was just trying to make the PMM one. Initially it was supposed to be more of a competition gun. It wasn't supposed to be like a carry type gun. So I'm like, yeah, let's just do some crazy stuff to this thing and make it really unique. So yeah, right in the back strap, if I can do this right here, these holes up here in the back, right across there, those are actually 3 tungsten weights that are Permatex down in there permanently. Doesn't add a ton of weight, but it adds just enough that you can feel the difference when you pick them up. You're like, yeah, okay, there's some weight there. I can feel that. This module, because I was trying to go for really the best, most weight in it and the most performance from other things just in geometry. This one is actually 6061 T6 aluminum versus 7075. 6061 always gets bashed on for it's not as strong, not as tough, blah, blah, blah. It's still used in a lot of aerospace components. They use 6061, they use 7075 in airplanes. They're both extremely tough, durable materials, just have different applications. 6061 is a softer material, which is also why on the front here, this is a stainless steel recoil lug system. It's 17.4 stainless steel. Was 17.4, extremely corrosion resistant, and I was trying to add as much weight to the module as I could. The only reason 7075 was used originally for all the other modules was because the recoil lug system right here and the slide come back and hammer that. On 7075, you can get away with it because approaches the strength of mild steel with 7075. 6061, not so great for handling the hammering of the slide. Not so a stainless steel recoil lug made sense in that application. Plus, it adds a teeny bit more weight to the front of the gun. It just made more sense in this case. And the other benefit of 6061 is it's a lot more ductile, so it has a lot more elasticity to it than 7075. 7075 is very hard, very tough, but it's also more brittle. 661 has a lot better ability to absorb the impact and disperse it more, just easier. It allows it to flex a teeny bit, which, like a polymer gun,
will absorb.
Exactly. So it absorbs it. I think that's a lot of reason why the PMM module specifically, it's like, it is such a soft shooting gun in that configuration. It's crazy. It just is nuts. Part of it is, I think, due to the material differential properties of it, just the base, the chemistry of the material. So that's the reason why it's 661, not 7075. Honestly, 7075 and 6061, the pricing of the material, not that different. It's really not saving a whole bunch of money on material. That's not at all what it is. The machining time for 7075 versus 661, I run the exact same program, the exact same tooling. There is no difference. It's just purely there are mechanical properties of 6061 versus 7075 in different applications, which is why we use the stainless steel recoil lug in the PMM version instead of just a 7075 billet. So there are some reasons that it's been done this way. Hopefully you can tell the difference, but I can tell a little bit of a difference, and I've shot these things quite a bit.
Yep, and that's a lot of information, and I guarantee you some people are going to probably question, the materials and why you're using this versus that. Now, there are 3 questions right now in the side chat. So the first question somebody asked was, do you make an optic cut slide for P320X carries?
I have made some. We haven't actually sold any, or we haven't actually put them up for sale yet. We've done X5s in RMR SRO cuts and Romeo Max 3 cuts, I think, which are a really specific footprint, great optic, but a very specific footprint. We've done some X compact 320 slides, which actually worked out really well. They were a really aggressive stifling serration pattern. They worked out good. They were dual optic cut for a Romeo.
Nice.
1 Pro, Delta Point Pro, and also RMR SRO. I haven't done carry because I haven't had time to really dedicate to slides. I had a lull there for a while where I could do some slides, but I just haven't anymore. I'll show you some other projects here, and you'll kind of see why some of them are. The machines are doing the slides are being tied up doing other stuff right now. And slides are an expensive part to make. I mean, they're all 17.4 or 15.5 stainless. It's slow. It's a very tool intensive part, and it's just a time intensive part.
Right.
Our slides so far have gotten really good. People like them. People like them a lot. They like the serrations on them, which has been cool. The slide you actually have is one of the early ones that has the Romeo 0 optic cut in the back, and it has the front iron. The new ones have front and rear iron sights retained. Does yours have rear irons? No.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I don't have them in. I actually bummed these off of another slide, but I have to get rears. So yeah.
But you have a rear iron sight dovetail in it. Okay, so you actually have one of the newer ones. The first generation did not have rear iron, just like an XL slide from 6. I figured why not just make what they're making? It obviously works. But I got a lot of feedback from actually instructors of SIG, like, dude, put irons in there as backups and put an optic cut in it. So we ended up moving to that for both the standard and the XL slide, to where now it has retains irons front and rear, and also has the Romeo 0 footprint, Hollow Sun 507K footprint. I think the 407 is the same footprint as the 507, and also the RMRCC, because I got a lot of people I want an RMRCC, I want an RMRCC.
Now these need plates, correct, to attach the optics to them?
You do not. They're direct
Nice.
mount for all those. The trade-off is one that some people are not willing to accept. Some people are okay with it. The RMRCC is a substantially bigger footprint than the Romeo 0 or Hollow 507K. So in order to have it be a direct footprint and just direct mount without adapter plates, if you run a Hollow Sun or a Romeo 0, you're going to have a little bit of a gap in front of the optic cut. Where you're on RMRCC, it fills the whole optic cut up.
Gotcha.
Some guys are not into that. Some guys don't care because they want the direct mount. I don't want adapter plates. I just don't like adapter plates. I want the direct mount on there. So that's where we end up on the slides. I would love to make more slides. I got 5 emails today about, hey, when you have slides, I'd love to make slides. I don't have time to make slides. That's a problem. Right. So will we have a carry size slide at some point? Yeah, definitely. I want to be able to cover all of the 320 size slides. I want to do some full size slides as well. It's just a matter of time. We're just slammed. I mean, absolutely slammed right now, which is a great problem. It's a blessing. I'm not even complaining. These are very good challenges to have, but they're challenges.
All right. So we have another person in the side chat, Jason W. He's got actually three comments, so we'll try to get into all 3 of them, but I appreciate it, man. He's giving us some good feedback here. So the first question, he says, why is there a weight in the back of the grip instead of the front? Is that to help out muzzle flip?
I would love to be able to put weights in the front, but there's just no room. It's already quite thin up there as it is. If there was a way to shove some weights in there, I actually was experimenting with how to get some really, really small 16th diameter carbide weights, like in the pick rail and up here on the side. It was going to be a nightmare and a lot of broken tools and just a very, very expensive proposition. And it would make the grip kind of look Swiss cheesy. We did some experimentation with some 320 Pro Comps. We call them our 320 Pro Comp heavyweight. And we Swiss cheese that thing to the nth degree. We put weights in the front, along the sides of dust cover, under it, in the back, and it had weights everywhere. It actually weighs more than a SIG TXG. So it's very heavy, not by a lot, but it does weigh more, and it shoots great. The problem is you have to cram, I want to say it was like 25 tungsten carbide weights in it, and it kind of became a pain. And so right now we kind of shelved that project for the time being because we have other stuff going on. But yeah, I wish obviously putting weights in the front would be much better for muzzle flip, but just putting weights anywhere is still better than no weights at all, at least from what I've found.
Copy that. And then another question he had is the coating on the parts. What kind of coating are you guys using?
We pretty much switched everything to ano, type 3 ano for black and clear. We don't offer clear, but from what I understand, I'm not a coating expert. From my understanding, my anodizer, if you do true mil spec type 3 hard ano, is only available in black or clear. That's it. We use mil spec type 3 black on all of our black products. The other ones we're doing now in ano, this is kind of a release color for the Evo. We're calling it Fire Bronze, which is actually a red tint bronze gold.
Nice.
I wish I had better light in here. It's cool. It's really cool.
Looks
in sunlight, in sunlight, it actually has a slight red metallic to it. It looks really, really good. It is technically type 2 hard ano. But yeah, we're doing anodizing for everything just because I actually invested in a full Cerakote setup. I have Cerakote booths. I have Cerakote ovens. We have certified Cerakoters. I love the artistic stuff you can do with Cerakote because you can do some really amazing stuff that you really can't do with ano. It just doesn't hold up. I mean, we had customers all the time like, hey, all my Cerakote's wearing off my grip. It's scuffed here. It's scratched here. I did that. And we got tired of fighting that battle because, I mean, we recoated them a lot. And I hate telling customers, sorry, that's how it is. That's just not a good way to retain customers. And it just wasn't effective. And ano was way easier turnaround time and just a lot more durable coating. I mean, Type 3 Ano, I believe, is 72 Rockwell, whereas Cerakote is literally a paint. It's a paint. It's like any other paint. It's tough. It's tougher than paint, but it still scratches and scuffs really easy. Whereas Ano actually grows into the base material, so it's not an added coating. It's actually growing into the, I think it's like 8 microns deep in the material.
Wow, nice.
Anyway.
So and again, a lot of good information, like a lot of the stuff I'm not aware of, and I'm sure most people are not, but it's a lot of good information to understand, the differences between Cerakoting versus anodization, and then the value added to that. So, I mean, that's good information. So another question that somebody, let me see where it's at. It says here, do you guys offer your slide for the 365 XL with an optic cover plate in case I don't want to run an optic?
We do not. We've kicked that back and forth. Like, do we want to do that? We want to not want to do that. When we were back at the academy one time doing some training, and they were just telling us, I forgot how it came about, but basically they don't train anybody with irons anymore. They said, like,
really,
red dots are the way of the future. Everybody is going to red dots. The military is going to red dots. Law enforcement, everybody's going to red dot. Irons are great for backups, for sure. I mean, you can't iron sight, you can't screw up. I mean, it's there. Battery can't go dead on iron sights. You want to be able to have it, but they expect everybody that they sell guns to run a red dot on it.
Wow.
So, we had a couple people that do have some optics plates for the 320s. And actually, a couple customers did find some optic plates that actually fit pretty well on them. I have yet to hear back from those customers as far as what or where they got that optic plate from, because I'd like to know.
Yeah.
Versus making our own. But yeah, currently no. Unfortunately, I'm not saying it won't happen at some point, but slides are one of those things I like doing. I love the features on our slides. They feel great. They've gotten really good reviews. And I like them, but they just don't. Time does not allow us to make a lot of them right now, and I hate to say it. So we'll do some more in the future, and we will kick around doing a plate of some kind on there as well, because I know that's something a lot of guys do want.
Well, I definitely have to say about the slides that whatever voodoo magic you're using on these serrations, people have got to follow suit. I mean, these serrations, most people, when they do a gun review, they say, well, the serrations aren't that deep and blah, blah, blah. They're not that, I don't know what the hell you guys did with this, but they don't look deep. But these serrations are, and I don't even want to say sharp, because they're not sharp. It's not like you're cutting your hand open or anything, but man, it's like there is a certain type of texturing on these or something that when you get your hands on it, press checks are super easy. Racking the slide is super easy. I just don't know what you guys did, but whatever you did and however deep these are, man, it is. It's like it doesn't look very deep. Let me see if I can get that. It does not look very deep in the slide, but guys, these are again, it's just the amount of texturing on them. Like, what did you do with these? How did you get them to be like this?
It was experimenting with different patterns. The first pattern I did on a 320X compact was kind of a quilted, more stifling tradition pattern. It was overly aggressive. It was really, really aggressive. On the 365, I just experimented with different tools, different tool paths, different direction of texturing. And I finally found one. I'm like, I think this feels really good. It feels really grippy. And if you feel them when they come off the machine, they're sharp. They're pretty sharp. Once we kind of deburr them, tumble them a little bit to try and smooth out a lot of the rough edges, they actually feel about perfect. And they're just, like you say, they're the perfect amount of aggressive, but not so aggressive they're going to tear your clothes and rip your skin off.
Right. I agree. That's
and that's kind of been the feedback I've gotten from most guys on them so far. So it's been good.
Yep. And I mean, they're definitely some of the tackiest serrations. And then when I say tacky, I'm not talking like, wow, that's pretty tacky. I'm talking about there's a good texturing to them. And I mean, I've owned guns that have great texturing on their serrations. Walther came out with that PDP with their what I think it's called the rough terrain pattern on their whatever the hell you want to call it. But this is something. It is something different. It is definitely unique to the slide. But like you said, it's aggressive, but not like killer aggressive. It's pretty cool, man. It really is. is. Like I said, there's a lot of things about this that you start to play around with it, and you just start to look at it, and you every day you pick it up, you're putting your hands on it, and you're like, man, I didn't pick up this yesterday, but today I am. So again, and some people are going to call me out saying I'm just chilling for you. I am not. I'm giving you an honest opinion of what I'm finding with this gun, and man, it is a complete package. There's no doubt about it. It really is hard to put in words just how effectively good this gun is in somebody's hand because of all of the features that are on this that are just amazing. I mean, this is amazing, man. It really is. This is my favorite. This has become my favorite handgun. And like your wife, oh my God, I pointed a gun at you. Like your wife, there was a time where I hated the 365. I couldn't stand it. I didn't even understand the point of owning one. And then when we got into all this, I'm like, God, man, it has absolutely changed the game for the 365 for me. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that. There's got to be people who've bought these and they're like, holy shit, this is the finest piece of steel and aluminum and you name it that I have. And some will complain, well, why do I need it? Well, you don't need it, but I think having it is pretty damn cool. So like I said, this has been my favorite one so far. Of all the modules, this by far is my favorite because when you compare it size wise and grip wise, I mean, this one's pretty damn good too. I'm not gonna lie. This thing's that's a beast, but at the same time, it just does. There's so much to do with this firearm now than it was in its original form. But again, that's my opinion. You guys can take it or leave it. Now, next question for you. What do you have to show us? Because I know there's some stuff hidden off the screen there.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know what it is either, but I'm super curious.
I haven't even showed you on purpose. Like I say, we've been really, really blessed and fortunate to have a lot of other companies reach out to us, which is amazing. Like I said, a lot of these guys are companies that I know of, that I've heard of, and I just don't have anything like, they're not going to come and knock on my door, but they actually came to us and said, hey, you guys want to do some stuff? And I don't even I have a list of other ones that I'm probably not going to talk about because I don't have anything done for them yet, but they're also very much household names that we have some collaborations going with, which will be freaking amazing. I'm really excited about it. The one I just got clearance from these guys, like, hey, you can go ahead and start saying this is actually, we're working together on this stuff. One of them is, and you may be familiar with this or not.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
If you're into Glocks, it's not a Glock, but it's a quasi Glock, obviously. I think it's based on a Gen 3, Gen 4. Their OZ9 modules are, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's what it is. I bought one a few years ago just because it's a cool gun. I mean, they make cool. The coolest hot rod out of the box Glock you can get. It's just freaking cool. Took her to the range again. I don't really like Glocks that much. It's the best shooting quasi Glock. I mean, it shoots great. It damn near can convert you from a SIG to a Glock. It is really good. And then a mutual friend got me in contact with Zev, I don't know, a year ago. Talked to somebody there about, hey, we're looking at doing something for an OZ9. Oh yeah, I'll pass up the chain. Let me see, see what happens with that. And then I never heard back to them. I'm like, okay, probably went nowhere. Then probably about 6 months ago, I get an email from the same guy. Hey, so your name come up in a production meeting. The management wants to talk to you about offering your 320 frames on our 320 builds. Cool, that sounds good. I'll pass up the food chain and we'll talk. I'll get you in touch with the right guy. So me and my assistant, we called this guy a week or so later. It's like, hey, so this is Travis from Icarus, and I understand you guys are interested in some 320 grip modules to put in your 320 platform. And he goes, no, we don't really want any 320 stuff. It was like, well, 365? Well, not really. It was like, well, then what's going on? What can I help you guys with? Well, we were wanting if you want to make a aluminum module for our OZ9. Sure enough, I'd love to.
Yeah,
so it's kind of funny how that all worked out. But yeah, they've been really supportive and helped us out a lot. I have two things to show you. I have one of them is like the first gen OZ9 module that fits form, function, works great. We've shot it a bunch. I had a bunch of professional shooters that are Glock guys shoot it. Gave some feedback. Then I have kind of my Gen 2, which is kind of a big delta. I can explain to you why I did what I did. And get this thing all cleared and everything. So this was the first generation one we did. This is
Oh,
actually
that's
midnight
sick, man.
bronze. The trigger guard's substantially bigger, more undercut, more textured. Beaver tails extended on it a little more. Still takes their OEM flared mag well. You can remove this thing. Again, I shoved about 3 or 4 quarter-inch tungsten weights up in this back strap, so it adds a bunch of weight to it. And it shoots. It's a freaking shooter. It does
And it
really
looks
good.
like there's a palm swell on there. Yes.
It's got mild palm swells on both sides as well. It still has a concave in here. So that was the first generation that we did. We went to the range, we shot it, and it shoots great. It really does shoot really good. The operators I had with me shooting it are both guys that are 6'5" and just gorillas. They're like, "Oh yeah, it's awesome. It shoots great." One of the guys who works with me now, who shoots Glock a lot, he's a smaller guy. He's like, "Yeah, it shoots great, dude." But he goes, "Honestly, I don't want to be mean, but it feels really fat." He's like, "You're not wrong. It felt kind of beefy to me as well, just holding it." And he's like, "Dude, honestly, I feel like you tried to make a Glock, quasi Glock, feel too much like a SIG, because you took the stuff you had good luck with doing with SIG and tried to incorporate it into a Glock platform, and the two things are different. They're just a different style of shooter. I mean, a different grip altogether." He's like, "Dude, do this instead." I'm like, "Yeah, so that means I got to start all over again, basically." So I did. I went back and did some more tweaking on it. This one's not painted. This is just raw aluminum right now. And this one,
Oh my God.
I went back to their OEM trigger guard design, because the first operator I had feeling the first one I showed you earlier, he's like, "So this is like home base for indexing. I use the edge of the trigger guard as kind of my next safety stop before I hit the trigger. And if I can't feel that, if the trigger guard is just so big, I can just go in. I can feel this, but I can't feel the trigger guard. It's not there." And I mean, it made sense to me. And this guy's excellent shooter, former Army Special Forces, everything. He knows his shit. Like, that makes sense, I guess. So back to the trigger guard. Plus, we wanted to make it as universal holster compatible as we can. If you already have an OZ9 holster, it'll work that way. There's no weird, because I've already fought the holster battle with the SIG stuff long enough. I'd rather not have to fight that battle and get custom holsters made all the time. Anyway, this guy gave me, he goes, "Dude, make the front thinner, make it thinner on the sides, make it thinner on the back around here, make it thinner up here." He's like, basically everybody that buys a Glock and tries to really customize it takes a Dremel tool to their grip to make it thinner. They want to make it thinner, so it doesn't feel as beefy. So you're making aluminum, you can make it thinner. So I just went crazy with it and took a bunch of stuff out. This back channel in here is way deeper. It has that memory hump now, since I found it works so good on the SIG stuff. Little deeper under here. I went through and redesigned this whole geometry around the front here, so it's actually full radius and actually quite a bit thinner this way from front to back. Yeah, so it still takes the OEM mag funnels. I still have 3 tungsten weights shoved up in here that are retained by the mag funnel. Uses all the OEM ZEV stuff. Mag release, mag funnel should work with all the OEM holsters that are already being made for the ZEV OZ9. I'm going to try and get it finished out hopefully this week before I have to go back to SIG for the ED365 EDC to launch the Evo. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but yeah, it should work with all Glock mags, just everything, normal Glock stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a big one. I'm really excited to get going on that, because it's just it's the apex of a Glock platform. It's as good as a Glock platform is going to get. I mean, ZEV was a little ahead of their time a little bit with their whole mod. They have their whole chassis system. It's not an FC, it's a SIG term apparently, but it's a chassis. And their chassis it's awesome because it's one solid piece of 4140 hardened tool steel. So it has a lot of weight to it just in the chassis. The SIG FCU is stamped steel, and it's about yay big, whereas the ZEV one's the full length, and it's a lot. The pick rail and everything is solid steel. It's a heavy. It feels good. It's rigid. It's accurate. I mean, it's an expensive part to manufacture, which is why the OZ9 is an expensive platform, because manufacturing that chassis is complicated and expensive. But yeah, it should be good. I'm excited to have it shoot. I want to get some testers up to the guys at ZEV so they can play with it. They're excited to see what it ends up like too. So it was one of those things. I spent a bunch of time on the first generation. I got to, I'm like, this looks so good in SolidWorks, and I made it. I'm like, this thing just feels like a fat boy gun. It just feels chunky. And so, yeah, it took the right guy to be like, dude, I'm telling you, just take a butcher knife to this thing and just freaking start cleaving weight off this thing anywhere you can. Get this thing freaking, get this thing slimmed down, because that's what everybody in Glocks want. They want it slim. They want it slim. They want it slim. Even my first guy we talked about making it with, he's like, dude, just make it as slim as you can, because I take a Dremel or a file to mine all the time to make them thinner. So it's thinned out, and it was on a serious weight loss program. How's that?
Yeah, well, it looks pretty good. She looks pretty hot right now. I'm going to tell you right now.
It looks good. I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out. If it all goes according to plan and it all works, I'm really excited. I think it'll be a great shooting platform.
Oh, I bet.
Next one is, I think I may have shown you this. We got approached by Taurus as well, for their GX4, which is a competitor for like the 365. Obviously, it's their micro carry compact, but it is it's a FCU fire control unit chassis system. It's very similar to the Sigma FCU. It's all stamped and everything like that, but it's made up of a lot less components than the Sig, which is kind of nice in a way. And this one is going to look a little crazy too. So just get a grip on your seat, but it does shoot pretty well.
That girl's got some big booty on her.
Yeah, but again, it's one of these oddball things that when you, if I can do this, and when you put it in your hand, we wanted it to follow the contour kind of your actual wrist and your palm of your hand, to where it fills as much of it up as we can. So it does feel very weird in there, but it locks everything in there really well. And we were able to integrate a pick rail on it, some stipling on this, a little bit of undercut in the trigger guard. Thinned out the back again, like we've done a lot of stuff. We extended the Beaver tail quite a bit. Their serial number is actually through this little window in the back right here. That's how it's designed.
Cool.
Tried to flare the magwell a little bit more.
I just lost my camera. My battery just died. Oh no. Let me see if I can fix this really quick.
No worries,
guys.
No worries.
So keep going. They don't want to see me anyway. They want to see the damn guns.
But anyways, that is the new one. I just sent a few prototypes out to Ano for some testing right now to get them out with some testers, get some back to Taurus, see what the general consensus is going to be on it. I've shot a 365 a lot in testing and that. And the 365 in its polymer form is not the most pleasant gun to shoot. It's not terrible, but it's not like shooting a normal gun. And then we went to the range and took one of these aluminum Taurus GX4s, and also a OEM just polymer Taurus GX4 to the range too. And we're shooting them kind of back to back to see if we'd actually made some improvements on it or not. And the polymer GX4 shoots, it's pretty violent. I think it shoots a little bit more violent than even a 365.
Yeah.
Which may just totally be in my head, but in my mind it did at least. But putting the aluminum chassis or aluminum grip module on it tamed it down a lot and made it a lot more enjoyable to shoot on a whole. So I think it'll be good. So it's been crazy though, just getting approached by these guys like, hey, do you want to make a grip module to work with our platform? And it's been great. I've been pleasantly surprised at how much response we've had from just the 365 and 320 platform being really well received and everything. And we've done some newer grip texture on some of the 320 platforms. We're kind of going through and working those all over right now. The SOCOM full and the X full were the first ones that got really new aggressive grip texturing. I got a couple out to some operators that had some feedback for us, and they're like, hey, we put this thing through the paces with our whole freaking bunch of guys, and they gave me an actual, it was kind of crazy to see an actual, I forgot what they call it, an actual action report, AAR report on your products from the Army. They're like, hey, we like this, we love this, but in like mud and shit like that and wet, needs to be more aggressive. So we went back and made it more aggressive. sent them a few of those up to play with, and they've been working with those, and they're like, this thing's freaking awesome. It was a huge improvement. So we've got that modified grip texture kind of working through the products on the 320 side right now, just to give them all a little more aggressive grips.
Cool.
But yeah, so those are the only ones I have right now to really show you that are due. But I mean, it's just
well, that's good
cool.
enough.
It's cool to get diversified. Just, I mean, I love SIG. SIG has been awesome to us. They've treated us really good, and I mean, we owe our success to them embracing us, working with us, helping us, and allowing us to showcase our products, at their facilities, which has been amazing. But it's great to get some diversification to some other platforms too.
Sure. And there's, I'd like to see if can I give you a wish list? Is that possible?
Go for it. I know you're probably going to say Steyr.
No, you know what? Listen, man, that ship has sailed. I am so done with Steyr because they're just terrible marketing. And I don't think you'd want to get wrapped with them because they would waste your time. They would just waste your time. But I do have a GX4 coming in, just so you know. Okay. So I actually picked one up just for that module, just so you know. But surprisingly enough, I was surprised. It's actually not a bad firearm, and I hate Taurus too. Yeah. So this might turn out to be just like my hatred for the 365, where I love it now. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out.
The GX4 was kind of funny. I tore it apart the first time, and I've always kind of wondered why SIG specifically didn't make the 365 FCU basically a miniaturized 320 FCU, because the takedown lever system in a 320, perfect, works great. It's easy, it's robust, it's great. And the Taurus did that. They made a takedown lever, one common pin that's pretty beefy, goes through and holds the whole thing in. I mean, it's like, come on, guys. But at the same time, when I took it apart the first time, like I say, the Taurus FCU is infinitely simpler than the SIG FCU. I mean, by miles. And I do not mean this in a negative context at all. It's just the way it is. And the guys at Taurus we've talked to are super cool. I got a funny story kind of about that too, but I took the FCU apart too, and I'm like, it's like comparing, and like I said, this is not meant to be negative at all. It's like comparing an AR operating system to a AK operating system. One's like super simple but super functional and probably really robust, and it's not going to break, whereas one's pretty complicated and can have some issues because there's a lot of small parts in it. It's pretty complicated. But yeah, no, we the guys at Taurus were super cool. Like, first time we kind of talked with them on the phone. I think we did a Zoom call with them, and me and my sister are talking to them. We're like, hey, so yeah, we want to do this stuff, and what do you guys need from us? What do you want from us? Do you want this thing to be co-branded? Do you want this thing to be just branded just for you, just us, or how do you want to go about this? And he's like, listen, man, if you guys want to co-brand it with us, that'd be great. We would greatly, it'd be cool if you guys did. If you guys did, it'd be great. But if you don't want to, we understand too. Our reputation, we're trying to kind of rebuild our reputation and get our QC, our customer service, really up to par, and that's why we were brought in to really rebuild the company and get its reputation up to par again. So if you guys don't want to be associated with us, then I'm okay with that. And I was like, hey man, if you guys are willing to tell me that straight up, I'm cool with that. And he's like, yeah, we've launched 3 complete new firearms since me and my partner here took over running Taurus, and they've all been very well received. I did some research, and sure enough, the GX4, I think there's a G3 as well. Yep. There's a couple of them that have been out in the last 2 or 3 years that have been widely received as substantial improvements for Taurus. Right. So if they're seriously trying to really get their reputation up and get everything going again, I'm happy to help them. I mean, I will. They've been super good to work with so far. I've not been disappointed by the GX4 at all. It's been good.
Yeah, it was. And again, I can only tell you about the polymer, but I mean, when I picked it up, I thought it was going to be this rattle can of shit. And it turned out to be a very solid built tiny gun. And, there's some things you're like, I could see cutting corners here and there, but I think overall the gun actually may not be that bad. And again, it takes me a while to get them here, but, I look forward to actually shooting it as its, standard model, and then hopefully eventually maybe getting that aluminum grip and seeing what the changes are on it.
Yeah. And then getting a little more information on Taurus as a company was interesting too. He's like, yeah, everybody thinks we're cheap because, we're just cheap, but he goes, we're inexpensive, we can operate at a lower operating cost because
Sure.
we make absolutely everything in house. We make every single part of this gun, injection molding, everything we do in house. So we can control the cost on everything. I'm like, well, that makes perfect sense.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, so far, I'm impressed. I really like it. I hope it's going to be a good hit for them too, and they want to sell it directly through themselves, which is awesome. Saves me a lot of marketing.
Yep. Yep.
So that's been cool. But yeah, just there's a lot of really cool things coming down the line. And I'm just really fortunate and blessed to have support we've had from the
Yep.
industry and the other OEMs. It's been awesome.
And it's amazing. Like when I think back, I think, we've been talking back and forth for a couple of years and
Right.
just watching it kind of from the ground and then where it's at right now. I mean, did you ever think it would wind up being as big as it's become?
No, hell no. This was supposed to be a side project I was doing for fun as my, I mean, I've been in manufacturing for over 20 years. I do mostly Department of Defense, aerospace, commercial trucking. Yeah, I do a lot of other stuff for other industries. And this was kind of just a side project that my buddy and I were working on just for fun, kicks and shits and grins. And it turned into something much, much bigger than we thought. And it's actually eclipsing my normal business quite a bit anymore, which is scary, but great.
Yeah.
It's been a blessing though, because again, the commercial trucking and Department of Defense industry has been shit for the last couple of years. It's the whole COVID thing, and then our current administration is not so great on wanting to invest in Department of Defense
who
stuff.
shall be named, not named, or whatever.
So the firearms thing has helped a lot. It's let me expand and build this whole company, and we're still all family. I mean, we're all family that work together. I mean, my sister-in-law, my wife, my brother-in-law, everybody, we all work together on stuff, and we have different parts in the company to play. I mean, everybody's really important, and I mean, like I said, a lot of the guys that work with us too are ex-special forces, ex-military, and they've been just instrumentally helpful in giving us feedback. And I mean, because I like to shoot. I'm not a shooter at all. Yeah. I couldn't design half of this shit without guys that have real world application experience and know this shit inside and out. It's been awesome. So yeah, I would not have expected ever to be growing as much as we have. Since you and I have talked last, we've put in one more 43 pallet automation system on one of our 5-axis mills. I just bought a whole nother 5-axis mill that has 42 pallets automation on it. So now we've got 3 or 4 systems that can run 24/7. Automated making stuff, because I'm trying not to have a ton of employees, because employees are hard to get right now. So yeah, we're all up with the same problem everybody else is. We're trying to figure out how to increase production, because thank God people keep wanting to buy lots of our stuff, which is great. But it's like, how do we make more stuff without spending much more? And we're going to be building a bigger facility, I think, and moving stuff around. So it's crazy. I would have never thought in a million years this would go the way it has, especially as fast as it has. It's been exciting and terrifying all at the same time to watch and see. To be the owner of, it's been exciting and very terrifying, more so terrifying. But overall, just it's been a great experience. It's been awesome. Appreciate the support from you and a lot of other guys that we've gotten involved with. Some bigger guys, some smaller guys. We try and take care of the smaller guys too, because I mean, shit, you guys got me started, but actually taking this stuff seriously and playing with it, and even giving us a platform to explain what it is. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And again, I think it all boils down to just the innovation of what you guys are doing. And it can be, we could sit here and we could probably talk for hours about, well, what do you think it was? What's the winning, equation for your company? But at the end of the day, it boils down to, people being dedicated to try to innovate something new based on what they've already made. And I think a lot of times as consumers forget about that. Consumers, well, why do I have to pay this? And blah, blah, blah. But it's the entire concept of what you guys created and where it's going now. That's why you pay what you pay. That's why you get multiple grip modules. It's because each one it's like an evolutionary process. It started from something and now it's getting even better. And I'll tell you right now, for people who bitch and moan about it, where do you see that with a Glock? I'm just curious, because you don't. A Glock 1, a Gen 1 is the same shit as a Gen 4. Gen 4 is the same shit as a Gen 5.
Yeah.
So when you see companies that have the innovation, that are doing things from what they've already created, but making it even that much better, I mean, no offense, guys, but you're doing the right way. You're doing the right things. And that's why you're kicking ass. It boils down to what you're doing and how you're innovating. And also the fact that you're listening to trained professionals who know how to apply these things, like you said, in the real world.
Yeah, I know for sure. I mean, I couldn't have made any of these things work as good as they do without some serious help from guys who've been there, done that. I mean, on the flip side too, just since we're doing, being involved with Zev at this level and working with the Glock platform, if time allows, over the next year or so, I could see us getting into some actual Glock 17, 19 size grip modules. It won't be grip modules; they'll be actual serialized weapons at that point, which is a whole nother nut to crack. We have manufacturing license to be able to manufacture them and everything, but it's just you got to hire a department just to track all of the serialized stuff and keep records and everything. But Glock is still an insanely huge market. So I'd be silly to not look at doing that at some point. I got a question before I got on the air with you today, but hey, when are you gonna make Glock frames? Like, well, it's in the future. It's just not in the real near future.
Hi, everybody. I think I'm back. My camera's glitchy as hell, and everything seems to be falling apart. So, hi, everybody. I think I'm back. My camera's all right. So I am back. There's 15 people still here. If you can see me, let me know, and I'm going to get Travis in here in a second. There we go. Wow, that was awkward.
We
Holy.
good?
So, not only does my camera battery shut down mid some reason, I have a battery pack that's completely full, decided to shut down.
Yeah.
My computer screen went black and it said, need to restart. I'm like, oh, that's wonderful. Well,
Good timing.
yeah, perfect. That wasn't doing anything. I mean, so what? So, unfortunately, there were still 15 people here. So now we're up to 17. So I apologize for the about 15 minutes of nothing but a black screen and nobody on this chat. But it seems like we got reestablished, which is great. Thank you, technology, living in the Hudson Valley. Apparently, we suck at that as well in New York. But let's try to finish up on a high note and let's bring it to a close. And we were talking about before everything went crazy, just about the innovation and the ability to keep on building from a foundational piece and then evolutionary increases or increments. And I think for the most part, that's one thing that a lot of people in the community are really jumping on the bandwagon for Icarus Precision is because they're seeing the amount of work, the amount of innovation that's going through the products, and that's why instantaneously it's like, wow, I got to have something like that. So I think that helps quite a bit.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I mean, the amount of I'm always surprised, yet pleasantly surprised that people are like just freaking jonesing to get this stuff. I mean, it's um the Evo series has been so far one of the ones I'm the most excited to get out there because it is very unique. It has a very unique feel, and it literally makes what is a micro carry platform not a micro carry platform anymore. It still is concealable if you choose to, but it makes it shoot damn near like a full size gun, which was my first impression too. But it's been reaffirmed by dozens and dozens of people that have been shooting them that know a lot more than me about shooting, and they're like, "This thing is freaking amazing! It makes this thing shoot so differently from what you'd expect."
Yeah. And then even with my follow videos, like I said, I'm going to do the tabletop first, then I'll do the shooting impressions. And so now that you're telling me, that's what I'm going to expect. All right. So I expect a fully shootable micro carry that's not a micro carry, even though it is super easy to carry.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear feedback on it. I'm sure that as soon as we get these things shipped out, and we're trying desperately to have a bigger amount than we've ever had going to launch with a product, because every time we go to launch something, it sells out in like freaking like 10 minutes or less, which is awesome. But as a consumer, I could see being very, very frustrated because that sucks. But yeah, we're trying to have literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these things available to ship out the next week after we launch these things. So that's the goal. And I'm sure we're gonna. And I've been literally turning away purchase orders from big distribution companies that want to buy a bunch of these things. I'm like, guys, I gotta sell them myself before I sell 200 to you. That doesn't really work. We're SIG is also going to be launching these as well. They're the only ones I've let put in a big order. They're going to have a very limited supply at the initial, but we're going to be getting them a whole bunch shortly after we get the launch going and everything like that. But yeah, it's been crazy, man. It's really been crazy, and having it's still some of my people were back at the SIG Experience Center grand opening a week or so ago. I think they did that last weekend. I think in New Hampshire. And I wasn't actually there. I'm usually chained to a machine making parts, which is okay. I prefer that, honestly. But they were like sending me videos of shit of the new Pro Store or Pro Shop in there, and like see our stuff on like one of the end caps of the aisles in the SIG Pro Shop that just says massive freaking multi-million-dollar facility. It's surreal. It is. It's very much. It's humbling and surreal. It's like, damn, this is freaking gone like way further than I expected to go. It's awesome that it has, but it is it's an honor.
Well, listen, I always appreciate what you guys do. I appreciate the fact that you still talk to me and, and just send me stuff. I mean, like I said, it's much appreciated for me because, like I said, I certainly, uh, I can't even say it enough. Like, I mean, I'm looking at this thing in front of me and I'm just saying, God damn it, this thing is a beautiful masterpiece of art. And, if people don't see it, well, then unfortunately, they're never going to have that experience. I'm going to be shooting this sucker tomorrow with the no sight picture except for the front, but I also have the this little guy right here, so I'll be shooting with that as well, and hopefully I'll have an amazing experience, which I'm expecting to, because so far none of the stuff you ever send to me, none of it's ever let me down. I mean, they're bulletproof, built like tanks, and obviously you can tell the engineering is there. So
well, I got a couple more. I got one more thing I forgot about. I
yeah.
to mention. We're going to be offering up here pretty quick in the next. I'm hoping the next month or so. We've been offering the extended offset 320 mag releases from Align Tactical. They are cool. They are freaking cool. It is, again, one of these things that looks kind of weird. It fucking works amazing. Then he designed. I work with him. He was already going to make a 365 one. I kind of helped him out a little bit with that. He just sent me like some first article prototypes like yesterday overnight in the mail, so I can take them back to the EDC championship next week. But it's going to be basically the same thing, an extended offset mag release for a 365 as well. It should be freaking way badass. Just the other thing too, just because this is something I've noticed from handling thousands and thousands of SIG FCUs in the last couple of years. 365 FCUs have a decent amount of variance in them as far as they have tolerance, just like we have tolerance in parts. Some of these chassis drop in these grip modules, piece of cake. Some of them are tight. I mean, really tight. They'll go in, but you got to work at it a little bit. Don't be afraid. Don't think there's something wrong. The polymer ones, I've never yet got one from a customer who's been concerned, who's mailed it to me, or I've never yet got one that will not fit. It's always just customers don't want to damage their FCU, understandable. Don't want to damage their grip module they spend a bunch of money on, understandable. If you damage the grip module trying to put it together, we'll replace it. We're not going to leave you hanging with something that you can't use. It just, in 99% of the time, we get these phone calls and emails like, hey, I don't think it's going in, it's not lining up, blah, blah. And it literally is just an effort of just, hey, man, do this, try a little harder. And it goes in like, oh, shit, it works great. Thanks, man. There are a lot of variants in the FCUs from SIG. There's quite a bit. I mean, I've got 5 different ones, and I got 5 different measurements off of measuring them when I put micrometers on them. They're not the same.
I believe that.
There's some variants in them like anything. I've never yet found one that will not work, and I've handled thousands and thousands of FCUs. They're tight. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they are. But just if you try a little harder, go for it. We'll take care of you as much as we can if something goes awry. But yeah, we don't mind helping you out if you need help either.
Yeah, and that's funny you say that, because when I got this one, it so happens that this little FCU was a pain in the ass to get in there, and I'm like, wow, is there something wrong with the module? Is there something wrong with me or something? And then what I did was I took a nylon tipped hammer and just tapped it a couple of times just to drive it in a little further. Once it got in, now I can pull it out, no problem, get it back in, no problem. So yeah, I agree.
Once you get them seated like once or twice, they're gravy. But just the first time, they can be a little snug. They are. I mean, I wish it wasn't the case, but we prefer to have them tighter than looser. So that's just kind of how it goes. But I appreciate you taking the time to do this, man. I really
no problem. Thanks for sticking around.
Show you some new cool stuff.
Yeah, I look forward to some of the new stuff that's coming out. I mean, that Zev thing looks ridiculously awesome. And the Taurus thing looks cool. I mean, it certainly looks cool. But we'll leave it up to the experts to decide.
Yeah, hey, I'll if you got a Taurus GX4 coming, I'll probably send you one to play with and give me some feedback on it. We'll talk about it before we do anything with it, I'm sure.
Yeah, cool. Sounds good. So I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys coming on, and I wish you much success in the future, and hopefully you get some time off too, because I know you're busy personally. So
I have one of those jobs that I love what I do. So fortunately, I love it most times. Sometimes I don't, but most of the time I love what I do. I really enjoy making this stuff. It's cool.
Very good. All right, guys, take care of yourselves. Be safe out there, and thanks for everybody who joined us tonight. And if you didn't show up live, watch it on whatever the hell it is. I don't even know. In the internet, whatever it is. I don't know. All right, guys, take care.